Beloved Madridistas, welcome back to Madrid. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, let me give you my thoughts on the match against Celta yesterday. And you know, it's amazing. This season, we just have not been able to control a match. I mean, I can't remember the last time we played a match comfortably and won, just, you know, dominating the match. We had this match in the palm of our hands. This has happened all season long. We lose tension, we lose concentration, we lose intensity, and we let these matches slip through our hands. It's really, really unfortunate. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on the match, and we can catch up on sort of rumors and gossip that are all going around. But I think yesterday's match, really exposed Ancelotti in many ways. I think Arda Güler's his performance was exceptional, and I think really puts a spotlight on Ancelotti and some of the decisions he's made this year. I think the changes that he made last night underscore those weaknesses as well. So we need to talk about that. But welcome back to Madrid. Welcome to the channel. Let's discuss the Celta match and everything else that's going on these days. Thanks for joining me. Let's get started. Madridistas, welcome back. Okay, let me give you my thoughts on the match last night. We'll start with that. Okay, let's look at the lineup first, which I think was kind of unsurprising. But we had a Courtois in goal, Lucas Vázquez on the right. I think when you have so many injuries, you know, honestly, you run out of options. So I don't think any of this was terribly surprising. It was wonderful to see Arda start. He was the star of the show. But we had Courtois in goal, Lucas Vázquez on the right, Fran on the left. In the center of defense, we had Asensio and Tchouaméni. Tchouaméni actually had a very, very good game. He's been playing really well lately. In the middle of the pitch, this was a 4-3-3, but I think kind of a fake 4-3-3. In the middle of the pitch, he had Ceballos, Fede, and Jude. And then up front, he had Arda Güler, Kylian, and Vini. Now, I say it was a sort of fake 4-3-3 because I think Arda he played a little bit further back than you would expect. He didn't really play as a winger, and he drifted into the middle a lot. I think that's one of the reasons he had a phenomenal match, is that his mobility was excellent. But I think this, in terms of play, this looked more like a 4-4-2 to me than a 4-3-3. But that was the lineup, not terribly surprising. In terms of the match itself, now, this was, typically when teams come to Madrid, very often they park the bus in front of goal, and it's very, very frustrating. They play a low block. It's very hard to get through. And these are typically just not fun matches to watch because the other team is so defensive, you have a very hard time breaking through, and you really need a goal to open things up. That wasn't the case yesterday. I think Celta came to Madrid with a very positive mindset, that they wanted to take the game to Real Madrid, and that made for a much more open, much more enjoyable match. So even in the first few minutes of the match, you could already see this. It was a wide open play. It was a much more open game than you usually expect, and both teams creating chances. So you had chances on both ends. Very fluid play and just a really enjoyable match. In the 6th minute, we had an incredible save by Courtois. Courtois, I think, had a really, really good match, made some very, very critical saves. But like I say, this was very back and forth, very open, each team having chances to score. The first goal came in the 33rd minute. This was just a absolutely phenomenal strike by Arda Güler, not just the placement and the power. It's amazing the power he puts behind the ball because he wasn't really running, fast towards the ball. He didn't really. It wasn't so much in stride. He was almost standing still. But the power that he put behind the shot was extraordinary. Just an absolutely magnificent goal from the man of the match, because Arda was just spectacular yesterday. Now, after the first goal, it was kind of the same. We had very open match, back and forth, very fluid, a lot of movement, really kind of enjoyable. Arda Güler was just really critical in terms of our play. His mobility, he moved a lot. I saw him not just play in interior positions a lot, but he even drifted to the left on a couple of occasions. But I think that mobility really helped. He was incredible on the ball. I think his passing accuracy was 100% last night. He didn't miss a single pass. But that mobility really gave us a lot. It oxygenated our ball circulation. I think it was absolutely critical. But we continued to play a sort of very fluid game. In the 39th minute, you had the second goal from Kylian. This was, again, another spectacular shot. He was sort of falling back as he took the shot. I was a little bit surprised that he was able to control it the way he did, because it looked like he was falling back. But just a phenomenal shot that went in the corner, unstoppable for the goalkeeper. But these are the type of goals that really showcase the individual skill that this squad has, because player by player, the amount of talent on the squad is absolutely incredible. The first half ends with 2-0 and sort of generally very good vibes in the stadium. We all felt like, finally this is a decent performance where we look in command, and we kind of enjoy it without stressing out. But of course that didn't last too long. In the second half, we sort of, started similarly, very open match, etc. And only 3 minutes into the second half, you had the 3-0. This was a good goal, a good finish by Kylian, a clinical finish, but really an excellent pass by Arda Güler, a wonderfully weighted ball. If you notice, this pass came between two defenders, and Kylian didn't need to either slow down or speed up to get to this ball. So just the weight of the pass was perfect, and a very clinical finish by Kylian. Now at this point, you're up 3-0, and you just feel comfortable. You think, okay, let's play loose football. You're more relaxed, but unfortunately a little bit too relaxed. In the 56th minute, we had two fantastic chances to make it 4-0. There was a wonderful give and go between Arda Güler and Mbappe in the box, and Arda couldn't quite finish the play, but a wonderful play. Only a few seconds after that, Jude had a header that could have gone in, should have gone in. So we had a couple of very, very clear chances. In the 61st minute, there's a play that I need to mention, because you guys need to tell me in the comment section how this is possible. Kylian receives a ball, manages to get behind his defender. He is very, very clearly in a one-on-one situation, but he's fouled from behind from a defender that is clearly the last defender. And this was a yellow card, and it wasn't even reviewed. And I just do not understand. Well, if it was reviewed, I'm not aware of it, but how is this not a red card? You guys need to explain to me. The rules are very clear about this. If a defender is the last defender and fouls a player that is in a clear goal-scoring opportunity, that is a red card, and those are the rules. You should have heard the commentators here in Spain, because the commentators that work at Media Pro are all part of this sort of mafia. They're complicit in all this, and the way that they try to justify it away was just ridiculous. Kylian's hand was here or there, or the sort of mental pretzels that these guys bend themselves into to try to justify the unjustifiable. This was a clear red card. The rule book is very clear about this, but again, very frustrating. The ref was appalling all night. Okay, in the 65th minute, we had the first change, and again, this is something that I think underscores Ancelotti's weaknesses. Some of his decisions are inexplicable. Asensio, he took Asensio off and brought in Jacobo. Now, I understand that at 3-0, you can take some luxuries, but Asensio didn't look tired to me. He's a young player. He's very consistent. He's by far the most solid defender we have at the moment. And why would you take him off? And you brought in a player, Jacobo. This is the second time that he plays this year. And he played a few weeks ago, and I don't remember what match it was, but I remember exactly what I said in my video the following day. I said, Jacobo looked nervous. He looked really, really scared. Like, he looked like the venue was just too big for him. And it's just so frustrating. You take off Asensio, who has been mission critical, so consistent all year, and he's a young player that didn't appear tired to me, and you bring out Jacobo, a player that is clearly overwhelmed by the venue, and Jacobo was just really poor. That was a mistake in my mind. But at this point, we get over-relaxed. We're up by 3 goals, and of course, in the 68th minute, you have the 3-1 off a corner kick. Now, the first Celta goal goal, you guys are going to have to tell me your opinion as well. This was not a corner kick, okay? And it was very, very clear that the last player to touch the ball was a Celta player. Now, I know that VAR doesn't intervene in ordinary play or things like a corner kick, but if the resulting corner kick produces a goal, shouldn't you review it? I mean, the idea is that VAR is there to assess plays that are critical, right? Penalties, goals, etc. Well, this was a goal. Now, why didn't VAR intervene and say, well, because a goal occurred on the back of this corner kick, let's make sure that it was a corner kick? Well, VAR didn't intervene, and that goal was given. Now, of course, this was a defensive lapse, and I'm not making excuses. I just think it's very strange that they wouldn't check whether that corner was valid since it produced a goal. In any case, I think what this also underscored, and this is one of the takeaways that I was going to discuss, we are terrible in set pieces, and we are terrible in aerial balls. And it just seems like so many goals that we receive are headers or coming off set pieces. This is a real weakness in our play, and very, very frustrating to see. Anyway, at this point, we're 3-1. In the 71st minute, we had a wonderful run by Fede up the middle of the pitch. He had 3 or 4 of these fantastic runs where he's in the back with the ball, he's under pressure, and since he can't see an obvious outlet pass, he just carries the ball up the middle of the pitch, and he has that speed, and it worked very effectively on 3 or 4 occasions yesterday. So Fede had one of these magnificent runs up the middle of the pitch. He gets into the box, and he's fouled. It looked like a possible foul. Now, maybe it wasn't a penalty, but they didn't even review it. I mean, they don't even check these things when it comes to Real Madrid. Anyway, in the couple of minutes after that, Vini had another very, very good chance. In the 74th minute, Ceballos was taken off and Luka Modric came in, a change that ended up not really improving our play at all. In the 75th minute, you had the second Celta goal. Now, this was a brilliant pass to Aspas in the box, who made a wonderful diagonal run. The pass was perfectly timed to beat the offsides. And again, this is just lack of concentration, lack of a sort of focus defensively. And at this point, we're at 3-2. Now, you can imagine at this point the Bernabeu getting really pissed off. There were whistles. Very loud whistles, and I can just imagine how uncomfortable that must be for Ancelotti and for Florentino Perez. But the entire stadium started to whistle. This was just, a match that we had in the palm of our hands, and we just lost concentration. In the 78th minute, Celta had a fabulous chance. This was a great save by Courtois, and the only thing that kept that ball from going in was the spin. There was such a strong spin on the ball that it stopped rolling, and Courtois was able to stop it before it went in. I mean, this was a very clear chance. Celta could have made our life much more difficult. But like I say, in those last minutes, it was very tense, a very open match, both teams creating chances, and a very pissed off Bernabeu that was making itself heard. In the 81st minute, another play that really pissed me off on the part of the ref, Kylian receives a ball on the left side of the Celta box, and he is being held and grabbed repeatedly. By the way, in this match, every time Kylian tried to make a run, every time he received the ball, he was hacked or pulled or tugged every single time. But the ref completely ignored it. In the 81st minute, there was an example of this that really infuriated me, because Mbappe was fouled not once, about 4 times in a row, but the ref just let play. In the 81st minute, that was the play in the 81st minute. Now, in the 85th, there was a possible handball on Marcos Alonso. I don't know if it was or not, but again, the VAR didn't even check. It just seems that with us, they don't even check these things. But like I say, there were dramatic final minutes where, we could have scored a 4th, but they could have also tied the match. So we finished the match. It's amazing that playing at home to Celta in a match where you were up by 3 goals, and you end up praying for the final whistle. That's just unacceptable. A team with this quality just cannot find itself in these positions, and we've done it over and over this season. In terms of takeaways, like I would mention, Ancelotti was really exposed, and we have to talk about Arda Güler, because Arda made it very, very clear that Ancelotti has been making a mistake. Now, Ancelotti has been playing Rodrigo over and over and over, irrespective of what condition Rodrigo is in, because if a player plays 3 or 4 very poor games in a row, the manager needs to keep this in mind. Arda played wonderfully yesterday. Now, I know he's had a couple of other opportunities this season where he didn't play particularly well, but the skill is there, and he demonstrated the type of player that he is. This is a player that brings you a very good ball control, very good distribution, great vision. His passing, the accuracy of his passing is phenomenal. This is an incredibly talented kid that we could have used more. I'm not saying that he should have started every match, but he should have had much more continuity in terms of the minutes that he gets to play, because he is a difference maker. He's a player that, especially if you want to control the ball and possession, Rodrigo's a player that loses the ball a lot, and he takes players on sometimes when he shouldn't. He'll do a 1-on-2, 1-on-3 or 4, and eventually lose the ball. And there's some matches where you want to retain control of the ball, and Arda Güler gives this to you. In addition to the mobility, the vision, and the passing, he's a player that allows you to control the middle of the pitch. And I think that Arda's performance last night, which was excellent, exposes Ancelotti's weaknesses as a manager. Ancelotti is a manager that is very good at controlling the vibe of the dressing room. So he's very good at the chemistry part. You know, he makes sure that there's a lot of camaraderie, a lot of unity among the players, and that's wonderful. He does that really well. But tactically, he has made so many mistakes this year, and I think Arda's performance last night exposed Ancelotti. You should have leaned on this player much more than you have. This is a wonderful young talent, and Ancelotti's insistence on playing Rodrigo every single match, really, I think this was exposed yesterday. Another takeaway very clearly is that Jacobo is just not ready for the first team. This is the second time this kid plays. The weight of the shirt is just too much for this kid. Now, not every young player can be like Asensio. It takes something intangible, something about your character, your personality, and Jacobo just seems to shrivel in these situations. Jacobo's not ready. Apparently, he was one of the most promising young defenders we have, but he certainly didn't demonstrate it yesterday. That was another takeaway. Another takeaway that Arda should be taking all of our set pieces. I really do. Anything around the box that is a set piece that requires accuracy, our corner kicks, things like that, I think Arda Güler should play more, and he should be taking these because the accuracy of his passing is extraordinary. As I mentioned before, another takeaway, we are awful in aerial balls and set pieces. This is one of the first things that I think Xabi Alonso, whoever comes, has to address, because it's one of the consistent weaknesses all year long is anything aerial, anything set piece, and we look so vulnerable. That's something that we need to work on. Another takeaway, well, the referee was appalling. You know my view on this issue. Gil Manzano is just one of the OGs of this corrupt setup that they have going on here. He's just appalling. There was a couple of penalty situations that he didn't even check. VAR didn't even get involved. There was a very clear red that, they didn't even bother reviewing. There was a goal in the corner kick that wasn't a corner. None of this stuff was reviewed. Like I say, Kylian was held, grabbed, and pushed and fouled the entire match, and nothing came of it. Another takeaway from last night is that the ref situation in Spain is just appalling. Now, we need to sort of mention the injury issue as well, because this week Rudiger had an operation on his knee. Alaba apparently has also screwed up his knee again. This is just an extraordinary situation. I don't know if it has anything to do with physical conditioning, with Pintus and his team, but Alaba, Rudiger, Carvajal, Camavinga, Militao, Mendy, how can all of these guys be injured at the same time? And these are not just small injuries where you have a little muscular thing or like a sprained ankle. No, these are very serious injuries. We're talking about, the knee, which is really, really serious. I don't know how this happened. Maybe it has something to do with how how Pintus is running things on the physical conditioning side. But it's just shocking the amount of injuries we've had in the last 2 years. In terms of players, I can just tell you my thoughts really quickly. I think Courtois had a fantastic match, a lot of absolutely critical saves. He made a really bad mistake in the final of the Copa del Rey, but we have to forgive him because he's a player that saves us on so many occasions, and he showed it again last night. I think Courtois, any other goalkeeper, and we would have dropped points in this match. Lucas Vázquez, I thought was not great. His first half was not bad. But then, as the game went on, I think he went from sort of mediocre to worse. I think Lucas Vázquez is just a weak spot in our defense. 33-year-old player playing in a position that isn't really his natural position. And I just don't think, this is a player I would renew. I think he's done great things for the club, but Lucas Vázquez, I think his period at Real Madrid should be coming to an end. Asensio, the most consistent defender we have. I thought he was good, solid, quick, aggressive. Played a very good match. Again, I'm not sure I would have taken him off. I think that was an unnecessary risk to take. A player that is giving you consistency and security in the back. I don't know why Ancelotti decided to take him off. I think Asensio was very good. Tchouaméni was excellent. And, Tchouaméni, when he's played center back this year, he hasn't been very good. He's always played better as a defensive pivot. But I think last night Tchouaméni played very, very well in that position. I mentioned this in my previous video. Ever since Tchouaméni got whistled at the Bernabeu, he's just a different player. He's played very, very well the last few weeks. And that, going into next week's match, the Clásico in Barcelona, it's really encouraging to see Tchouaméni in very, very good form. Fran, I thought, was okay. He ran a lot. He always does give a lot physically. He made a few incursions offensively, not too many. Defended reasonably well. I think it was a sort of okay performance by Fran. Nothing to write home about, but nothing glaringly awful either. Ceballos, I thought, was good. I think probably more so in defensive duties than in offensive. He didn't really participate that much going forward, but I do think he defended quite well. He ran quite a bit, stole a few balls. I thought Ceballos was okay, maybe more muted than on other occasions, but I thought he was okay. Fede was, I think, of the midfielders, the most effective. He had a consistent performance. Again, he's starting to utilize this carrying the ball a lot more than he used to, which is a really good solution, because when you're being pressed and you don't have an obvious pass, to have that speed and that power to be able to just run up the middle of the pitch and get past that first line of defense, I think is a very, very valuable tool, and something that Fede is using with more frequency these days. I think it's a very useful tool. So I think Fede played well, a solid match, and had some very, very good runs going forward. Jude, I think Jude played, he worked very hard like he always does, but I think it was just less effective than on other occasions. He did have a few plays where he sort of showcases his skill, because he is so wonderful at protecting the ball and has great vision, made a couple of, really good deep passes. But I just think in general, his contribution to the overall play of the team was more muted than on other occasions. So I think Jude had a sort of so-so match. Vini I thought was erratic. I don't know how else to put it. Vini was just erratic, and I think he had a better first half than second half. He did try to take players on, but just very ineffective. It's just that final decision, the final pass. He would always end up losing the ball. So he did try, but it was a little bit intermittent, a little bit haphazard, kind of chaotic and disorganized, and resulted in him losing the ball more often than not. So I think Vini, he's struggled all year. This is not the player that we saw last year, and I think this is just part of I think generally a poor year on the part of Vini. He tried, not with as much regularity as he used to. So he seems to be doing the one-on-one thing less often, and when he does, it seems less effective. It's just his decision-making in the final third is poor, and it's kind of hard to see Vini kind of on the decline, but he has been declining in terms of form. A little bit concerning, to be honest. Arda Güler was man of the match. This is a wonderful young player. And I've mentioned this in previous videos as well. I think that Arda is much better when he drifts in the middle as an interior. I really like him as a number 8 or as a number 10. I don't like him that much as an 11 or a 7, because I just don't think he's a natural winger. But when he plays in the middle of the pitch, he has more room to maneuver and to influence play, he's absolutely phenomenal. Like I say, 100% accuracy, didn't miss a single pass last night. Phenomenal vision, phenomenal passing, scored an incredible goal, had an assist. He just had probably the best game since he's arrived in Madrid. Again, this is a kid we need to see more of, a very, very valuable player that Ancelotti should have utilized a lot more. Kylian, I thought, was good. Kylian, I thought, was very good. He looked sharp physically. It didn't always work. He scored 2 phenomenal goals, which is more than you can ask from anyone. So, just on that basis, you can say he played well. But his movement was very good. He looks physically sharp, very quick. Like I say, he was fouled all night long, so it was very hard for him to get into rhythm. But I think overall, Kylian had a very good match and scored 2 wonderful goals. Jacobo, as I mentioned, is just not a player that I think is of Real Madrid caliber. He doesn't have the character to play in big situations. So very concerned about that. Modric and Brahim, their contributions were very muted. They didn't really have an impact on the match, so nothing positive to say about either of them. Now, in terms of other stuff, rumors, etc., look, there are all sorts of rumors going around, as you can imagine. And look, at the moment, it looks like Xabi Alonso is the #1 candidate to come next year. Now, there's nothing official. Some of the press there are rumors that he has already signed a kind of pre-agreement with the club. I don't know if that's true. It certainly hasn't been confirmed officially. But, I know that one of the other candidates I would have really liked to see is Jurgen Klopp. But apparently Jurgen has decided to sort of walk away from football for a while, which is really a shame because I think Jurgen Klopp has a kind of profile that I want. He's a more commanding. First of all, he has much more experience in big teams at Borussia and Liverpool. Did a very good job in both places. But I just think he has more experience and more pedigree. I would have liked to see Klopp come, but it doesn't look like that's a possibility. So the rumors are very much leaning towards Xabi Alonso, but I think that Xabi should do a good job. He's a player that knows the club very well, understands the values and the institution. I think he doesn't have as much experience as a Jurgen Klopp, but he demonstrated in the Bundesliga that's not an issue. So it looks like Xabi Alonso will come. I would be reasonably happy with that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Now, there are also rumors about Rodrigo. Will he stay? Will he leave? I got to be honest with you. It wouldn't be the stupidest idea in the world to get rid of one of the forwards because we have 1 or 2 bodies too many up front. And Ancelotti certainly feels this obligation to play Rodrigo over and over. And I think that's really getting in the way of playing proper tactics and proper formations. Will Rodrigo leave? I don't know. It's possible. I know that there's a lot of interest. Both Man City and Man United have expressed interest in the player. It is possible that he would leave. Now, Vini, the rumors going around about Vini in Saudi Arabia and all that. Vini, I think, would be a harder sell. I think there are less probabilities. I have a harder time seeing Vini getting sold. Now, it doesn't mean maybe it would be a good idea. I mean, I don't know. You could put Kylian on the left. If Vini left, you could put Kylian on the left, which is his natural position. You'd probably make a ton of money because Vini is still a very coveted player. So that is a rumor that's out there. I don't know how much credence I would give to it. But letting go of one of the forwards is not the craziest idea in the world, and I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. There were also rumors about Haaland possibly coming. I think that the only way that you could bring Haaland is if you definitely got rid of either Vini or Rodrigo, one of the players up front, because he's a natural number 9. He's not a player that you can play in any other position, which means that you can't have 3 players fighting for the left wing position. I think it's a bit of a stretch to think that Haaland would come. I don't know. I don't really see it happening. But there are, some rumors out there. Okay, now in terms of next week, we have a massive match. We're 4 points off the lead. We have to play in Montjuic against Barça in the Clásico next weekend. If we manage to win, it would put us just 1 point off the lead with 3 matches left. So it would make the league still, possible. I think it'll be very difficult. I think what's playing in our favor is that, tomorrow Barça has to play against Inter, and this is going to be very draining physically. So I think physically we will have an advantage with a full week's rest, etc. But it will be a very difficult match. Now, the big question is he going to play Rodrigo or Arda Güler in that match? Now, my opinion is we should start with Arda Güler. If you think about the match against Barça, This is a team that Barça presses very well. When they lose the ball, they have an instant press that is very, very effective. And in matches like this, you need players that are very good at retaining the ball. And that is something Arda Güler does wonderfully. I think considering Arda's profile as a player compared to Rodrigo and in the type of match that we're up against, I think Arda should start, and I would favor Arda over Rodrigo, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But it'll be a very big game. Basically, the entire season comes down to this match. We need to win it to have any chance at all at winning La Liga, so pretty much the whole season comes down to that. I'll try to do a preview for it next weekend. Okay, those are my thoughts on the Celta match and some of the broader issues. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, so give me your thoughts in the comment section. But as always, thank you for joining me. Love you guys. And I'll see you in the next video. And as always, Ala Madrid.